مين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد. Then we are on the final question in this book, and it's been a wonderful journey with all of you, and we appreciate the feedback that we received, whether it just be a like or a comment, and it's been beneficial more so for me than it has for you. In this 30th question that was asked to Abu Ammar Muhammad ibn Abdullah ba Musa, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, out of Hudaydah, Yemen, is mention some of the mistakes and innovations surrounding the month of Ramadan that you have not already mentioned. The Sheikh, he said, the answer is, and from Allah we seek his help and his help to what is correct. Yes, there are many mistakes and innovations surrounding the month of Ramadan that have not already been mentioned. From them, and this is by way of giving examples and not being an exhaustive list. So the first of them is that he mentions here is the statement of the muezzin, or the saying of the muezzin after the adhan of after the first adhan for Fajr, tasahharu fa inna fi suhur baraka. That, and some of these are not going to be related to every place. Rather, they might be in some countries and not in others. But the saying of the muadhin after the first adhan of Fajr, eat sahur, for verily in sahur there is blessings. This should not be done by the muadhin. Secondly, also making the tasbih, saying subhanallah into the microphones and speakers instead of making the first adhan of Fajr. Thirdly, reciting the Quran into the speakers instead of the first adhan of Fajr. Fourthly, welcoming Ramadan from the minarets and in the streets, meaning making announcements from the minarets and in the streets, welcoming Ramadan. Fifthly, having a unified voice when making the adhkar after the 5 daily prayers in Ramadan. And as I said, I've never seen any of these first 5. I've never seen them, but that doesn't mean they don't exist for the Sheikh to mention them. Maybe they're peculiar to Yemen or somewhere else. I've seen a lot of strange things, but not these. Sixthly, making dua by some of the imams at the end of every prayer, and the people saying Ameen afterwards. So for the imam or some of the imams, that they make dua after every obligatory prayer out loud, and then the people are saying Ameen. Seventhly, specifying in the recitation of Salat al-Tarawih from Surah al-Takathur to Surah al-Nas every day. Specifying to recite in Salat al-Tarawih every night from Surah al-Takathur to Surah al-Nas. Eighthly, raising the voice with the words of dhikr after every 2 rakat from Salat al-Tarawih. Ninthly, the people praying, raising their voices with takbir inside of the salat. When the imam finishes from reciting a surah from Surah al-Duha until the end of the Quran. Duha, then they say Allahu Akbar. Position, they're just making a takbir in between the recitation of every surah. The 10th mistake or innovation is the statement of some of the imams to the people between every 2 or between the last 2 rakat and between the final rakat of witr, to say, Anwu siyam athabakumullah. For him to tell them between if he was to make witr in 3 rakat, for example, and he makes 2 rakat, gives taslim, and then 1 rakat, in between those 2 prayers, he says, make your intention for fasting. May Allah reward you. There's no need for that. 11th, the belief of some that Ramadan is only 30 days and not less than that. It cannot be less than 30 days. It must be 30 days. 12th, the speed of some of the imams in performing Salat al-Tarawih. And if they are advised regarding that, then they say it is only Tarawih. So they speed through it. 13, beating the drum in order to wake up the sleeping people for sahur during Ramadan. 14, the singing of some of the imams of the masajid when making the kunut for Salat al-Witr and going overboard in rhyming the dua and prolonging the dua until it becomes difficult upon the people. I think most people have seen this. 15, putting out the lights, turning off the lights during Salat al-Tarawih or Tahajjud, or dimming them. This is from the innovations. This is the statement of the Sheikh, even though we know some Sheikhs might say a little bit different there. They say if you dim the lights, for instance, Sheikh Abdurrahman Barak, Sheikh Abdurrahman ibn Nasr al-Barak, Hafidhullah, he says that if you dim the lights thinking that you're getting closer to Allah by doing so, then this is bid'ah. But if you dim the lights because it helps you with khushu', then no problem. As the Prophet ﷺ, he was bothered by clothes that had a design on them, and he told Aisha to get rid of them because it messed with his khushu'. So if you can dim the lights for the hopefully to have better khushu', then no problem. But if you do it thinking that this is getting closer to Allah, then this is an innovation. And Allah knows best. The Sheikh here, he says turning off the lights or dimming them is innovation. As for the mistakes, then they are many, and from them, and again, this is not an exhaustive list, from them is eating and drinking, going overboard in eating and drinking for iftar, and then having dinner again afterwards, and then doing so for sahur, going overboard in eating and drinking. Number 2, believing that whoever ate or drank forgetfully, then he has broken his fast, and then he just continues to eat and drink, believing that he has already broken his fast. Thirdly, believing that whoever missed sahur, then he's not able to fast. Fourthly, the belief that whoever missed witr, then he's not able to fast. Fifthly, the women continuing to fast even though their menstruation has come by claiming that they have, spent most of the day without their menstruation, and so they're tired, and so there's just a little bit left, and so they're just going to keep fasting. Like they wasted that day or something. Sixthly, leaving off using the siwak from after Dhuhr time until the sun sets, because the siwak, the miswak, is permissible to use it by the fasting person during the whole day of Ramadan. 7, the menstruating woman or the woman in postpartum bleeding, they leave off many acts of good by claiming that they're not fasting. So since they're not fasting, then they don't need to do other acts of good, such as sadaqah or remembrance of Allah and so on. Eighthly, that some of the women, they break their fast simply by feeling that the menstruation is coming while the blood has not come out yet. Ninthly, that some of the women, they think that the fast of the woman in postpartum bleeding is not correct until she finishes 40 days, even if she became pure before that. 10th, the fasting person wasting his time by following TV series and movies and sports games. All of this is a mistake in Ramadan and other than Ramadan. Number 11, delaying Salatul Maghrib. So because you're eating iftar, and so you miss a rakat or more. Number 12, not being concerned with Salat al-Tarawih, as if the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not say, "Man qama Ramadana imanan wa ihtisaban ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi." Just ignoring the fact that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Whoever stands Ramadan having iman and hoping for the reward from Allah, then he will be forgiven for his previous sins." 13, making the nights of Ramadan going to the marketplace and seeing what are the latest fashions. Number 14, not being concerned with the last 10 nights and wasting them due to the trivialists of reasons. And 15, wasting the last 10 nights in the marketplaces for the men and the women, claiming that they need to buy clothes for the Eid and sweets for the Eid. The Shaykh, he then says, Asalullah al-Azim أن يتقبل منا ومنكم الصيام والقيام وصالح الأعمال. I ask Allah the great that He accepts from us and from you the fasting, the standing at night, and the good deeds. وأن يتوافنا على الإسلام والسنة, and that He causes us to die upon Islam and the Sunnah. وأن يجعل خير أعمالنا خواتيمها وخير أيامنا يوم اللقاء, and that He makes the best of our deeds the last of them, and the best of our days the day we meet Him. وأن يعيد علينا شهر رمضان سنين عديدة وأزمنة مديدة ونحن في أمن وأمان وصحة وإطمئنان والنصر للإسلام, and that He return to us the month of Ramadan for many more years and for a long time, and while we are in a state of safety and security and good health and tranquility and in the help of al-Islam. And Allah knows best what is correct, and to Him is the return and the final resting place. And may the salat and the salam be upon our Prophet Muhammad, as well as on his family and his companions. And I thank each and every one of you for participating in this program with me, for I benefited more than you did. And inshallah ta'ala, we're going to work throughout the year to type this up so that it will be ready before next Ramadan, both in print form and PDF form. Jazakumullahu khairan. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us. Strive hard in these last few hours. You may be somewhere such as Japan or China, and maybe you've already broken fast, or you may be somewhere a few hours with an hour or two to go, or like us, 4 hours, or you may be someone that has 12 hours, 15 hours, whatever the case is. Strive hard during these days or during these last few hours and make the most of what you have. It's not where you started, but where you ended. Jazakumullahu khairan. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.